Elasan, for having invited me to be here today and giving me the opportunity to talk to colleagues from Morocco. I haven't been there for a long time. I went there when I was a student myself. I went twice to the country and I loved it, but haven't had the opportunity to go back. So it's always a pleasure to be with colleagues neighboring from a neighboring country, from where I was born and where I lived part of my life. As Elasan was saying, I am now living in London, where I've been working in audiovisual translation for many years. And I travel a little bit, and today I happen to be in India, where I've come for a research project with colleagues working in the field of accessibility. I will be mentioning a few things as well in the class or in the talk that I'm going to be giving today. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is that for a few years now, I've been working on projects for Netflix, which is an area that they've been embracing quite substantially, and I would probably say they are the leading content owners or content owner company projecting, developing, and stimulating the audiovisual translation field. So I will be making quite a few references to some of the things that I've been doing for them as well during this talk. And let me just see, I'm gonna share my entire screen, I think, to start with, or let me see, Chrome tab or window to share. Okay. Okay. I think I've had this before, but I'll see how it works. I don't know whether the audio of my videos ignore, sorry, and I will stop sharing because it was telling me I'm not very used to sharing here, so bear with me a little bit. I usually go for Zoom, but hopefully no, I don't understand why it's doing this. Apologies.
So would you like to share your presentation? You go just to present now or présenter maintenant.
So I've got here present now. I go there and I've got three options: Chrome tab, window, or entire screen. Whether I do window or entire screen, it gets the infinity. So let me see. I'm gonna try again. If I say entire screen, okay, the window cancel. Okay, let me see. Window there, and I will share. And let's see when it goes into infinity. That's what it gets. Let me see. Is it better now if I open my PowerPoint? Do you see the PowerPoint now?
No, we don't see anything now.
No, I've got my PowerPoint open. But I think this has given me the problem before if you share. Okay, let me just give me 1 second because I think I know how to resolve it.
Okay.
But it's a little bit convoluted. Okay, so I need to save my PowerPoint on my Drive, on my Google Drive, what I'm doing right now. But I fear, I don't know whether the sound is gonna come through. And I'm remembering now that when I've done it before, it can be a little bit of an issue. And then I will lose all my animations because I have to do it through Google Drive to Google Drive. Yeah. So let me see slide. And then Okay. Okay, so let's see now if it works. So I go to my tab and it's gonna do there. Okay, so this will do the, I hope that's the trick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's
yeah, now it's okay.
What I want is to show this slideshow. Can you see my slide now properly? Because I lose you.
Okay, no, yeah, so we can see, I mean, the title, Media Localization in the Age of Streaming.
Okay, I don't see anyone because Google Meet is not done for educational purposes. So I don't see anyone. I've lost all these screens. So I'm talking to myself on the PowerPoint. But hopefully it will be okay.
No,
If there is anything,
but we are listening to you. We are listening to you.
okay. If there is any problem, Elasan, or if anybody wants to raise their hands and ask a question for me to make it clearer, feel free to interrupt, and then I can just communicate with you and answer the questions that they may have. Okay. So I'm going to be talking today, as I was asked to, about media localization, and I'm going to be looking as well into the age of streaming, video on demand, and all these big players, the likes of Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, that are changing the way we're working, that we are doing things for audiovisual translation, but also with technology, and particularly the advent of artificial intelligence. You might see here that I'm calling this media localization, and this is a term that is used mostly in the industry. When we're doing research in our field, we tend to call it audiovisual translation, which is a much more academic term, and you will find it written by many scholars and authors of articles and books. The same as in French, traduction audiovisuelle, or in Espanol, traducción audiovisual. But I'm referring here particularly to the industry term, because I'm going to be bringing you in a little journey to show you how the industry is moving and doing things. So we are dealing in our field particularly in audiovisual texts. So we're looking at how texts are created and what is that makes them special, different in a sense, and making it challenging or not so challenging on occasions, because we always tend to think that the semiotic the semiotic structure of audiovisual text makes them more difficult, but it's not always the case. Sometimes it becomes easier to translate because we can see the information on the screen, we can see the cultural reference represented on the screen, and then we don't really need to work that hard to find the translation. So it works both ways in our field. So what you've got here, I take a quote from one of my colleagues in Spain, Frederic Chaume, and he discussed what is the audiovisual translation, audiovisual texts that we're working with. And you've got here the quote, which actually is a translation from Spanish, that he wrote the book in Spanish. And what you've got there is a text, and this is a term that we use, the same as we use a literary text. We also use an audiovisual text. That could be a film, that could be a corporate video, it could be an animation for children, whatever you think of, that will be the audiovisual text that gives information through two different communication channels, and they are at the same time. So we can hear, we've got the audio, as you can see in here, and then we've got the visual that we also activate when we're watching these productions. And then in the mix of all these, what we've got sound, we've got music, we've got images, we've got language. That is also part of the communicative intent of the original. And all these elements are always in constant movement. I had produced the constant movement in my PowerPoint, but as I mentioned earlier on, when you do the PowerPoint through Google Drive, the animations disappear. So, oh no, well, here it's gonna go, but you can see it's very slow because it's going through the audiovisual, the Google Drive in there. So I apologize for this hiccup that is there. Now, what we've got is from multimodality, which is an area that is expanding. You mentioned that there were quite a few PhD students as well attending this session. We've talked a lot about multimedia, multimodality in audiovisual translation, but we haven't really done much research from that perspective. And it was only 2-3 years ago that the first book appeared, which was on multimodality and translation. And they're trying to look at different areas that will be of interest for us translators from a multimedia or a multimodal, which is more what is being done in academia, a multimodal framework. And you've got the authors like Kress and Leuven, who have written a lot about this. You also have Baldry and Thibault, which have worked on multimodal communication. They don't take a look at audiovisual translation or films or things like that, but they just look at how meaning is made with several layers of information beyond language. And they coined this term, which is essential for us in audiovisual translation, which is the resource integration principle. It does sound a little bit opaque, a little bit obscure. Basically, what it refers to is that all these elements in here, sound, music, images, language, they are integrated in such a way that they only make sense when they are together. If we take one apart on its own, it won't make any sense whatsoever, because it needs to be in communion with the other layers to make the sense, to transmit the meaning that the director of that piece wanted to convey to us. Yeah, this is an element that is important for us, because we're only dealing with one of them, but we need to always bear in mind everything else that is happening in that screen. Now, you've got here a little video which comes from Pulp Fiction, a film by Quentin Tarantino of a few years back. Is the one that made him the icon, the iconic figure that he is in cinema these days. And in here, you will see the two characters have just arrived to a shopping center in somewhere in LA. And what you can see in here in red is actually the logo, is the lightning of the restaurant opposite there. You've got here the information that they're going to be using. So Mia is trying to convince him to go into this restaurant that we can see the reflect here on the screen of the car, but he's not very willing to go there. So this is the exchange. She's asking him, this is the name of the restaurant, Jack Rabbit Slims. An Elvis man, Vincent, in the film, he loves Elvis Presley, so an Elvis man should love it. And then Vincent, which is not convinced by that restaurant, says, come on, Mia, let's go get a steak somewhere else. And I said, you can also get a steak here, that deal, don't be a, and then she doesn't continue with her conversation. She just keeps quiet. You can see there an ellipsis and no more information, but yet Vincent seems to be convinced, and then he says, after you, kitty cat. So let's see what happens in here, and hopefully you will be able to hear it. If not, you've got here the information. Let me see, is it gonna play? No, it's not gonna play because it's not embedded there. So let me see, bear with me a little bit, because I've got a few videos and you see if I couldn't show them to you.
So open it first on your toolbar, and then you can share it, I guess.
I don't have it on my toolbar. That's the problem. They are embedded into the PowerPoint so that I don't have to leave PowerPoint or anything. But now I remember why I don't like Google Meets to do presentations. That's why I suggested Zoom. But yes, let me see. I need to save the video, save media, and I'm gonna save it as media 1, and I'm gonna put it here on my desktop, and I'm gonna get all the videos now. So bear with me 2 minutes. I'm gonna save my media as media 2, and I'm going to put it on my desktop as well. And then I'll open it into the other area. And then I've got another one that I'm going to save media as media 3. And let me just make sure that there are no other videos here. I always feel that I need to be showing videos. Otherwise, it doesn't really make much sense to do things on audiovisual. But sometimes they can be a little bit tricky, as we are seeing now. So let me now bring these 3 videos to here. So we've got media 1, okay, media 2, and media 3. They're very short, so they are uploaded very quickly and very fast. And now I'm going to open. Okay, and then, okay, so here you can see the video now. Can you see the video? Can you tell me?
No, you don't. No, I can't.
Hello? You can see only the PowerPoint?
No, it doesn't show anything. It's not showing.
And then not showing anything?
No.
Okay, now? Okay.
No, only the man and the woman in the car.
Okay, and then if I go there, you can't see anything? No, okay, so let me see. I need to, hold on, stop presenting and then share now. Okay. It's taking a while. Now you can see the video. Can you see the video now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, yes, it's okay. Now, it's very, yeah.
And you can hear it.
This is Jack Rabbit Slims. An Elvis man should love it.
Come on.
It is
Man,
working
let's go get a
perfectly.
You can get
Perfectly.
a
It's
steak
working.
Yeah.
Daddy-o. Don't be a...
Oh, after you, kitty cat.
Okay, I apologize by the delay, but as I said, I'm in India, and I think the connection is a bit slow there. But you could see in
That's
here.
it.
So when she's trying to convince him, then what she's saying here.
Steak here, Daddy-o. Don't be a...
Jump in there a little bit. But that's what you get in there. So don't be a, and then she comes up with this design or drawing on the screen that she's not mentioning at all. I would imagine that everybody in the room understands what she's referring to, right? Was the expression English?
Can you play it again?
Okay, yep.
This is Jack Rabbit Slims. An Elvis man should love it.
Come on, man. Let's go get a steak.
You can get a steak here, Daddy-o. Don't be a...
Oh, after you.
Okay. So don't be a, and then she does the drawing on this.
The drawing, yeah, the rectangular, yeah.
Yes, and do you all understand what that means in English? Yeah, that's an expression is a sentence, and I'm gonna share again now. So that is my PowerPoint in here. So what we've got there is a very common play on words or play with an idiom that is don't be such a
don't be.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
You can see now the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we saw in there was that she's trying to convince him. She doesn't say you can get a stake here that don't be A, and she doesn't say anything else, but she does say the information because she draws a square, which is
Square.
the idiom in English. It's a very typical American idiom. Don't be a
Stupid.
square.
Is it stupid?
Exactly. Not so much stupid as traditional, as
Square.
more adventurous. You are too square. You're limited by the corners of the square. So we do have an expression in Spanish. Yep.
In Spanish, I don't know. Maybe I think in Moroccan
Spanish,
Arab.
say, for instance, cuadriculado.
The
No says cuadriculado. And cuadriculado, it brings the same sort of idea that you are narrow-minded, that you don't want to open up, and then you are limited in that square. Now, it works in anybody with English knowledge, native English knowledge will understand the idiom that is there, even though if you look at the images, it wasn't a square. El Hassan said, yes, she draws a rectangle.
Yes, square
That's
head.
what it is, a rectangle. But even then, even though we are seeing a rectangle, the idiom is still activated in our brains to understand that she's telling him to be much more open, not to be so square-minded, and to open up. Yeah. So that's the images. Now, what would you do in Arabic? Because she's not saying anything. So are you going to translate "don't be such a," and then when there is silence, are you going to write something on the screen when she's not saying anything? Or are you going to say, you can get a stake here, daddy-o, daddy-o converted into something with the translation, so that is synchronized with the actual saying that she's, with the time that she's speaking, so that when she's silent, no subtitle appears in Arabic. Otherwise, it might look a little bit odd to have text when we don't hear anybody speaking in the original. So those are decisions. I don't know Arabic myself, so those are decisions that you as translators will have to take and decide, do I activate the translation afterwards when you can see the square, or I do it at the beginning when she's talking so that it's fully synchronized with the audio and it can be understood. The other video that I've got is one that I like very much, and then again I have to stop again my sharing. And then let's see in here. And then I'm going to, I need to open another video. Not this one, but I'm going to open video 2. This one, there is not much of a problem because they're not talking. There is only one little sentence. And I would like to ask you, how would you translate this if you were to do it into Arabic? Can you think of a solution that will make sense in your language? And let me just share again. And now I'm sharing another video. I will tell you slightly what it's all about in this video. So it comes from a British film called The Tourist. It's a sort of road movie, but instead of the USA is in Australia. This guy here that you can see in this picture, he's the baddie. He's the bad guy. Okay, and you're gonna see a couple that are the good ones. They are being chased by this bad gang of people in Australia. And then you will see what's happening in here and how it works. You will realize the scenery in which this guy is, nothing is fortuitous. When you are working in a film, everything is being given lots and lots of thought, and he is where he is for a particular reason, because the script writers wanted him to be there. And then you'll see why. It's only music at the beginning.
Well. Sorry.
Okay, so that was very simple, a very sort of easy section there. So did you see it? And can you tell me, is there a solution that you could have with that video? So you've got this couple, they approach where the body has fallen into, and then he says, well, well, well. And then he realizes that's not a good joke.
Yeah,
it's
it is
funny,
not.
right?
It is not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, sorry, he apologizes to
Yes.
her because it's not a really good joke. Now, can you translate that into Arabic? Remember, you've got 3 words. That's going to be on the screen very little time. You cannot really write a long sentence. You cannot explain the joke. And you've got what you've got. You've got a well where the water is contained, usually.
Yeah,
and
well.
then they play on words. You know, is the well that works with well.
Is it the well or the well?
Yeah, exactly. So how can you play? And is there a way that you could find a solution in Arabic, that you could find something that is also going to be duplicitous in meaning?
Rhyming, yes, the same.
Some rhyming, maybe.
Like what?
Something. Yeah.
Rhyming like what? Can you give us an example?
No.
As a solution for them.
So let
It's
me
very
ask the
challenging.
audience. Anyone in the audience has a suggestion?
More brains together can help.
Yeah.
I can
Can
tell
come
you, we've got an expression in Spanish, which is
Yes.
it's very common, mi gozo en un pozo.
Ah.
My willingness, my aspirations, they're going down to a well. So I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, I've lost my hopes. Something like that. So, mi gozo en un pozo. And then you can see pozo, that's the well where he is. And then he plays with the idiom in Spanish. And this is where, sorry, it's not a funny thing to say, but it just links the visuals, because I need to just bring in something with the visuals or something else. If it's not the well, it should be something like deep down there in the floor, or something that plays with the images. But I cannot just say. Yeah, we've seen the well has been filled. I don't know. There are quite a few solutions here that might well work in Arabic. I'm not, I don't know enough to say whether they will work, but the well has been filled sounds okay if it plays with the term or it plays with the well what it is. Yeah. But I'll leave it to you. Those are the things that when you are dealing with audiovisual translation are going to be the challenging ones to fully understand, how to do things and how to play with the images to make sure that you're not betraying the original. This particular film is a small series. It's very quirky. All the vocabulary, all the dialogue is equally strange. And that's why it became so popular, because it was the script saying things like that. They're going to be killed. And then they say, no, that you gave me an accusative. That should be something else. That shouldn't be an accusative. It should be a dative. And then they're talking about linguistic elements when, the action is like, they're going to be killing someone. So that is, part of that sort of need to bring in the images. So that's what we called, or that's what we've been discussing as the semiotic dimension. So I borrowed this from a colleague that works in Malta University. And then you got here all the things that belong to a film, that belong to an audiovisual production. And as translators, usually we only can deal with the dialogue. That's the only dimension that we're going to be able to work with and maximize in our translation. The rest are beyond our control. We might be asking people in the film company to do things, but usually we are sort of straitjacketed to be working only with the dialogue. Now, we mentioned that we call this audio visual. So we've got audio, and then in the audio, we've got verbal signs that are transmitted acoustically. Dialogue, monologue, what I'm saying now you can hear. That's going to be the part that we're going to be needing for subtitling, dubbing, and voiceover. Yeah, that's what you're going to be working with. But there is also another dimension that we hear. We hear non-verbal signs. We can hear in a terror movie, nobody's talking, but you might find yourselves tense. You might find yourselves afraid for something. It's just the noise. It's just the way the soundtrack is being concocted that is going to make you feel that uneasy and that fearful. That information we don't translate normally unless you're doing subtitles for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And that's what you do, bring in the information, the type of sounds that you can hear, if people are speaking, who is saying what, so that I know exactly who is talking and how I relate the text that I'm reading on the screen to the information that they are saying in the original. And then again, what we've got is verbal signs that are transmitted visually. You've got a letter, you've got the screen of a mobile telephone, and then you can see information. You will need to translate that. But we also translate images for people who are blind or partially sighted. This one here, SDH and AD, is what we call access services. In some countries, it's more developed than in others, and I will be telling you a little bit about this. But what we do, for instance, in audio description, if you're not very familiar with this, is that in the silences of a film, what we do is we give information for blind people so that they can understand what is going on. So it might well be that is the background. It could be, well, the clothing that the person is carrying. It could be the facial expressions. It could be anything that you think is going to be meaningful for a blind person to enjoy as well the audiovisual production. Okay, so what are the practices that we've got in audiovisual translation? We've got two main ones. The one is subtitling. What we are going to be doing is we are going to get the original, which is in audio, and we're going to fix it in written text on the screen, whether it is on the television, cinema, or surtitling, which happens in the theaters and the operas. Now, I mentioned to you the importance of Netflix in our field. Now, traditionally, we've always called this field subtitling. And actually, the English one, surtitling, which is for the opera, it was initiated in Montreal, in Canada, and it was in French. So the French said, okay, is sous-titré, is at the bottom of the screen, then we put it on the top of the stage, so it's going to be sur-titré, which is on the top. In English, they translate literally. In English, loses the placement because surtitling doesn't mean that it's on the top. In French, it's clear that it's on the top, not so much in English. But what we're having now is that Netflix doesn't call it subtitling. It calls it timed text. And if you are familiar with the guidelines issued by Netflix to produce subtitles, there are guidelines to produce timed text. So if you read anything, if you come across an article where they are talking about timed text, they're actually talking about subtitling, okay? Which is a very new concept. I don't like it personally, but I'm afraid if Netflix is using it, they've got much more power than I have to instigate the use of certain terms. You've got also re-speaking, which is basically I am talking and then you will see the written text on the screen. And that is live subtitles that are produced in this way. What we also have is what we call revoicing. What I'm going to do is playing actually with the soundtrack, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to do something to the soundtrack with voices as well. I can do interpreting. Imagine any interpreting that happens normally, but then it could also be done. Film festivals, when the film arrives too late, traditionally, they will do interpreting, or interviews. If they are interviewing someone there and then most likely you will find an interpreter interpreting for the media. You can find narration. Imagine a huge documentary by, for instance, Attenborough in the UK, this guy doing nature documentaries. You sometimes don't see anyone apart from the animals, and then the person that is narrating, a very famous voice that everybody knows this guy in the UK. You're going to do the same in French, in Arabic, in Spanish. What you're going to do is wipe out the original soundtrack, record it again, and then usually with a very famous face, famous voice, and then you record it again. There is no problem because we're not seeing anyone. So you don't have issues about how long the translation is. You don't want to make it too long, but longer than the original. Sometimes the text needs to coincide with the images to make sure that there is synchronization. But it's very lax and very easy to translate compared to the other ones. And then you've got dubbing. Now, dubbing, again, is a term that Netflix is using for anything that is changing the voice. So it could be lip sync dubbing, which is the traditional one that we've always called dubbing. But Netflix now is making the difference. No, lip sync is the one that has to go with the lips. Then you go voice over style dubbing, which is you hear the original a little bit, you overlap your translation, reduce the sound, put your translation on top. The translation finishes, the sound of the original goes up, and you can still hear again the speaker of the original. Yeah. It's also called United Nations style because it was very common in the United Nations where they were doing documentaries or interviewing people and so on. So that's the other type. Netflix is not using that type of voiceover any longer. So what they are using now is what they call lector dubbing. Lector dubbing, what they do is they synchronize the length of the sentence, what we call simul-sync, phrase sync. So I need to synchronize how long the sentence is, but I don't take care of the lip syncing. It doesn't matter. I can tell that the person must be speaking another language because the lips are closed and I can still hear some sounds there and it's a little bit asynchronous with the lips. Yeah, but that is, if you check with Netflix, a documentary, that's what you will see these days. That's the type of dubbing that they prefer to do in many countries. So what is the time text subtitle? And I'm sure you are familiar with this. What we've got more and more is subtitles everywhere. So these days you find subtitles on all videos, on social media, is a given. You know, everybody's expecting to have subtitles and have the option to have them on or off. Yeah, but if the videos don't have subtitles, people feel a little bit uneasy. In some countries, they want everything at the same time, all at once. As far as I know, China is perhaps the only country where they always watch English spoken films with two sets of subtitles, one set in Chinese, one set in English. And what they want is the Chinese, the translation of the original, but they also want the English, which is a transcription of the original so that they can listen to the English, see the English there, compare to the Chinese, and then learn English in the process. This is so popular that it's now done on many TV stations. It started in media, in social media, but now it's so popular that it's also done on television. Yeah, and I've got quite a few Chinese students in London. They only watch audiovisual productions with bilingual subtitles like this one here. And not long ago, the BBC did some research, and as it happens, is the younger generations, not the older generations because they cannot hear properly, but it is the younger generations that they are using subtitles more than anyone else in the population. Yeah, so they came up with that thing. I'm going to go over that one because of the issues having to stop and going. So what are the main characteristics of subtitling? So what I've got is audio from the original. I'm going to be playing with images and adding written text into that. And I've got the space limitations. I cannot write as much as I want. The companies will be telling you how much you should be using from the screen. Normally 2 lines and between 35, and 42 characters. If you are translating into MSA, Modern Standard Arabic, for Netflix, then you're going to be asked to do 42 characters maximum per line in 2 lines maximum. And usually at the bottom of the screen, as you can see in this little clip there. When it comes to time, your text needs to be synchronized with the original. It shouldn't appear before or after the person speaks. It should appear right bang at the same time. When there are short changes, you need to respect the short change. Your subtitle should disappear before the short change has taken place or after the short change, but never across. Yeah? And this is something that we are very finicky in subtitling. The minimum time that your subtitle should be on the screen, even if it's to say no, la, nothing else, then you should have it at least 1 second on the screen. Otherwise, people won't see it. It will feel that is something flashing on the screen, and you need time for the eye to fix the information. So that's why we recommend always 1 second minimum and 6 seconds maximum. Don't do subtitles that are 8 seconds or anything like that. It's too long. Everybody has read it, so just shorten it and go to 6 seconds. And then with some of the research that is being done, you can write more or less 12 to 17 Arabic characters per second. So say one person is speaking for 3 seconds and you are doing 15 characters is the standard. 12 is for children, 15 is for everyone standard, even old people that might find it difficult to read quickly. And then 17 is what Netflix is doing for younger people. They expect that people are going to be very quick reading subtitles. So say if you are working with 15, which is very standard in the industry as well, then one person speaks for 3 seconds, you can only write 45 Arabic characters, no more and no much less, because people might notice if you write too little that they read it and the person is still speaking. How can that be? So those are the when we talk about the spatial and temporal limitations. The form tends to be very boring, the subtitles, so we use a font that doesn't have any decoration. Serif means decoration, so we want it without any decoration. We don't want any strokes or anything that will call undue attention to the letters. We only use one color. We don't change colors. If it's white, it's white throughout. If you go for yellow, it's going to be yellow throughout, but you don't do yellow, white, blue, or red. And we don't use many stylistic devices. We don't use bold. We don't use change of colors. We don't use parentheses. We don't use square brackets. We don't use underlines. So it's very, very limited what you can do in your subtitles when you are working on them. And then the challenges that you're going to have is reduction, because they are on the screen not a long time, 1 second to 6 seconds. We speak much faster than we read, so you're going to have to condense the information. You cannot add translation notes. We know that the joke with well is because well can be a substantive, which is the well where the water is, or it can be an adverb, which is well as in a manner of doing things. It's good, bad, is well, is not well, is not good, whatever. So you know what it is, but you cannot explain. You need to come up with a solution that makes justice to what the original is showing there. And then the other thing that is always problematic for us is that we don't speak as we write. So you might say things, and you know, in Arabic, you've got your diglossia across all these many countries. You won't be able to write, for instance, certain terms that might look too Moroccan, because you need to go for the MSA. For most of the platforms, they will only be doing one type of Arabic. So that means that you will have to find solutions that keep everybody happy in the Arab world, and that's a big challenge, because there are so many countries with differences in the way they speak as well. And then usually taboo language, it just gets deleted because people feel that if it's written down, it's too aggressive, it's not really nice, and people shy away and avoid using it. What we find as well is dubbing. Dubbing, many years ago, it was called la traduction totale. And Edmond Carry, he was the president of la Fédération Internationale des Traducteurs, and he was calling dubbing as a total translation, because he said, you have to be careful about everything, even the phonemes. If you say m and m, you have to find something that in your language also closes the lips. Otherwise, you're going to tell that, you know, it's not what they're saying. So you're not looking for words, you're even looking for phonemes and articulations of the lips. And it is, of course, an illusion of an illusion. The cinema is an illusion. Nobody is on in that screen. That was recorded many months ago, many days ago. And it is an illusion that we trick the eye and they feel as if they are alive, but they're not alive. And we are doing a double illusion, is a double somersault, because we're pretending as well that they're not speaking English, they're speaking Arabic, or they're speaking French, or they're speaking German, which we know is not the case because they are speaking English in the original. So it is a big ask of the audiences to do all this understanding. And what we've got is several types of synchronies. You've got lip synchrony, which is, it has to be, as I said, the M needs to be an M or a B or a P for Peter that also closes the lips. We've got some flexibility, but we need to be looking for things like that. We've got isochrony. Your translation needs to be as long as the original. It's too short, then you've finished, and then the lips are still moving. And if it's too long, the lips get closed, and then the voice talent is still talking. And then the kinetic synchrony. Kinetic means movements. So if somebody is really upset and you can tell that, you know, in the original is shouting, then you're going to expect something in Arabic that is also aggressive, that is also, you know, brings in those emotions. If somebody says something and then the rest in the screen laugh, then you know, even if you don't understand the original, you know there was something funny. And then you will have to bring in your translation something funny to justify why everybody else on the screen is laughing. Yeah, so that's what we call the kinetic synchrony, and those are the three that we use for dubbing. And then what we've got as well is accessibility. Remember what we said earlier on?
Jorge, por favor, lo siento, sorry to interrupt you because the session is going to end maybe soon, in 2-3 minutes. But we have another link, a new link, okay, to continue. Okay. Okay.
So sorry, what do we have to do? We need to go out?
No, you go on. I mean, talking. So when the session is closed, so we are going to move to the second link, the second session.
Sorry, we'll take it to the to another session.
We move now immediately.
Yeah, I already shared the link in the comment section.
Okay, we go to the second link. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do I need to do? Sorry, I'm not familiar, and nobody alerted me to the. So
have you received the new link? Have you received the new link?
I don't know because I was talking and I'm not checking the chat or anything. I cannot multitask so much. Sorry. Yeah. But then I've got here.
You just go to participants. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Go to messages.
Yes, I've got it here. Meet Monday, 5:30 till 6:30.
Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Just click on it.
And then we go away. We go away from this one.
Yeah, you
just click it goes immediately, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll click the other one then.
Right. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
Am I there now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.